Hi friends! Okay, I've gotten a few requests to make a tutorial video on how I make my face mask, so that's what I'm going to be showing you today. I will try to go into as much detail as I can without making this video too long. If you have questions, you can feel free to put them in the comments and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Okay, let me show you really quickly what this mask looks like. So this mask is the type that has a pocket for a filter to go inside of. So you could put some tissue, toilet paper, coffee filter, whatever you deem usable. And then it also has the wire right here for the nose section. So that way you can mold it to your face and have a little bit more protection. So that's what we're gonna be making today. What I'm gonna be showing you today is two different types of masks. One with elastic and or headband or whatever other type of stretchy material you can find at home. And the other is going to be using ties. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of fabric, and it's going to measure 7 inches by 15 inches. Now what I went ahead and did, because I'm making so many of these, is I made a little template out of poster board. And you can do the same if you plan on making more than one. It'll just cut your time in half so you don't have to measure every single one. If you're gonna be using elastic, you're going to need 2 pieces of elastic and they're gonna each measure 8.5 inches long. If you're going to be using tie straps, you will be needing 4 of those and those are gonna measure 18 inches long. You will need a ruler, some scissors. Something to mark your fabric up with is a piece of wire. So this is the little pack of wire ties that you find in around paracord. An alternative you could also use is floral wire, and that's gonna be 4 inches long. You're going to need some safety pins. So when you have your fabric, you're going to fold it in half and put the 2 shortest edges together. We're going to grab our ruler, and we're gonna put it about here. It's about 1/2 inch. And you're going to make a mark at the 1.5 inch mark and at the 5.5 inch mark. We're gonna sew a line from here to here. Then we're gonna sew a line from here to here. I'm going to give a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So what that means is on my little plate here, there is a mark that says 1/2. So if I line this edge of my fabric up with that 1/2 inch mark, and this will be the only 2 places that will use that much allowance. And then we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna do it from here down to here. Okay, so now once we have that sewn, we're going to open our fabric like this, and this is gonna be your opening, okay? That's where we're gonna end up flipping the material around later. So what we're gonna do is go to our iron, and we're going to press this seam down, just like that. Now with your fabric still inside out, I'm going to flip it over like this. And what I'm gonna do is on this right side here, I'm going to sew all the way down, starting up here, all the way inside, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, to the very bottom, okay? This is probably, I would say, the trickiest part of this pattern. It's not hard, and if you just go slow, you can definitely do it. So I'm going to line up the left edge of my presser foot over here, the left edge, with this seam that I have already sewn, okay? So I'm gonna line that up, and I'm gonna allow so I can do a few back stitches, and then I'm gonna come down. And as I come down, I will just continue to pull my fabric down so it doesn't get caught in that presser foot. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so here we go. And then as you can see, I'm just using that line to guide me. Okay, and then I'm just gonna keep going. And I always just pause. I'm gonna pause for the video so you guys can see like how I'm pulling the fabric down and making sure that nothing else is being pulled in from anywhere else. So I'm just keep pulling. I'm just flattening it out. As you can see, I've got a little bit of shadow there. So I'm just gonna keep going. And then here's the edge. I'm just making sure that this fabric is not getting pulled in because I don't want it to get sewn with it. I'm trying to pull that down so y'all can see. And then when I get to my edge, I'm going to do some back stitches. And then I will cut my string. So, okay. So, now you can look here and you can see this is where I sewed from the inside, where I sewed this line here. Let me cut the string off. Okay, so you can see it here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this unfinished edge just like this. So you're going to have about a thumb of spacing. I'm not going to really measure it because it's not super critical about how far it is. A thumb should be about fine. So this is where the fun part comes in. This is where we're going to determine, are you going to use elastics or are you going to be using string? The way to attach them both is the exact same. The only difference is that this has 2 edges that are attached and this has 4 separate pieces. So I'm going to talk you through it, and then in the end I'm going to sew the elastics in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this piece of elastic in. So I'm going to stick one edge right in here, and I've grabbed it under my thumb, and the other edge or the other side of this is just hanging out for now. So I'm going to place it in under my presser foot, and I'm going to do some back stitches. And then I'm going, now I can feel the elastic, so I know that it's not, only the edge piece is under my presser foot and none of this is being pulled under it because you don't want it to get accidentally sewn in. So I'm going to come about halfway down so I have some room. So about right there is good. Now I'm going to pull the other edge of my elastic right to this edge. And you can make sure it's laying flat. You can kind of feel it in there. So here's the other edge. Hopefully you can see that little white piece sticking out right there. So I know it's there, and then I'm gonna just sew all the way down and do some back stitches. Okay. Now I'm going to cut, oopsie. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this edge. If I am using these strings instead of elastic, it's the same concept, except I do it separately. So sometimes I'll just pull it through this opening because just to get it out of my way. So I put the string in there, and so as you can see, it's sticking out just a little bit. I would place it down, and I would sew, and I would just keep coming just like I did with the elastic. When I get about halfway, so let's say I sewed all the way and now I'm halfway, that one is sewn in. I pause, I grab another string, I push it all the way in, and this side's open so I can use my hand to pull it out of this little hole here. See the top opening? So the top's coming out of the pocket up top, and then here's the edge. I would hold it here and I would finish sewing all the way down. So same concept, except the only difference is these 2 strings are not attached to each other. Okay, so from this point, we're gonna turn our fabric inside out. So if you had done all 4 of these strings, this would be an end here, this would be an end here, if that makes sense. And I stick them out of this hole here. And then you would have another one here and another one here. So all 4 strings would be attached just like so. And these ends would be coming out of this hole here. So we're going to turn our fabric inside out using that little pocket that we have open. Okay, so there we go. This is the front of our mask. This is the side of the mask that's going to be toward our face. So as you can see, this will end up being the pocket for the filter, and this appears where we're going to insert our piece of wire. I'm going to take my little piece of wire here. Let me get my chalk pencil. All right, let's make sure you can see me good. All right, So what I do is I just mark the right side and the left side. Okay, I'm gonna show you here on a mask I did earlier. This is what it's going to end up looking like. It's going to be a small little stitching that goes around here, okay? So basically what it's going to look like is I'm going to start with my needle right here. I'm going to back stitch to the top. Then I'm going to come back down to here and I'm going to sew all the way across. Then I'm going to sew here and I'm going to back stitch to get it to knot up right there. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's going to look like as we work through it. Alrighty, so I put my presser foot down, and that's where I'm going to start my back stitch, and I'm going to go toward the top of the mask, okay? So I'm going to do like 2 back stitches, and I'm going to come right back to that middle point. I'm going to bring the stitch all the way down to my other white line right here. And I need to actually stick my piece of wire in at this time. So basically going to feed the wire in there, push it as far to the top as you can, and this is where the wire ends right here. It can't go any farther up because that stitching that we just did is now blocking it, so it can't go all the way to the edge. All right, so now we're gonna come down. And I'm going to rotate, okay? Because now we need to sew to come this way. All right, so, and then we're going to sew this way and then back stitch to hold it secure. So very slowly, now I'm going to back stitch. And it's good. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little close up here. So that's what we did there. So the metal is inside of there now, and it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere. Now it's time for the pleats. This is the top of the mask, and this is the inside. So we're gonna turn it. This is the outside of the mask, top of the mask, bottom of the mask. Easiest way I found to do pleats is for the top of the mask to be facing you. From what I've heard, and I don't know how true it is that the pleats should be facing down. So that's kind of how I've been making them. So for the pleating, I have created something that helps me because I make so many of these that I find that it saves time. When I don't have to really think about it, I can just make the pleats quickly. I normally do this on my ironing board, but basically I made this little pleat out of poster board, nothing fancy, and I eyeballed it as well. So what I do is I line it up the 2 edges. So this is the top of my mask, here's the wire. And as you can see, like I said earlier, my pleats are going down, okay? They're folded downward. So what I do is I tuck my fabric, and I tuck my fabric. And that puts me in a position to have them pretty evenly spaced without having to do any measuring. And like I said, I do this on my ironing board usually, and I will press it with the paper still in there a few good times. Then I can take the paper out and it's pressed really well, and then I just go over it once or twice to make sure that those seams are pressed nice and good. Obviously, you may not have something like this, and maybe you're only making 1 mask, so probably wouldn't be productive for you to make something like this. But if you are making multiple masks, I would encourage you to try to make something like this because it'll save you a lot of time. Or again, you could always just fold by hand like this, hold it, and then when you've got it pretty good, just like so, you could just go over it with your iron just to get it nice and flat. And it'll stay instead of doing that. So I'm gonna iron this really quickly and then I'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like. So I've just pressed my mask so you can kind of see this is the front of it and this is going to be the inside that goes towards your face. So what we're gonna do is we're going to sew from top to bottom here and top to bottom here, and then we'll be done. And like I said, you can pin these to hold them in place. I just go pretty slow and I kind of just guide it. I guide the pleats under my presser foot so they don't fold up like this when I'm sewing. And there you have it. There's the front, Here's the inside, filter pocket that you can extend over your face. You've got the nose area that you can fold. I hope you guys have found this helpful. Hopefully I've answered all your questions. If I haven't, please comment and I will do my best to answer them. Bye guys.